Hello, hello, hello. We return. Better Call Saul review. It's the penultimate one. Waterworks, two meanings. It's where Kim works, and you turn on the waterworks. You know, oh, is it real? You know, boo-hoo. Is it real? Is any of it real? What a miserable 53 minutes of television that turned out to be. It's like watching a slow motion car crash. Yeah, it was always going to be like this, wasn't it? Let's face it. These are not good people. There's a couple of flashbacks. There's a lot in the present, you know. Again, the pacing of the episode. This is why I was critical of the one, you know, which spent the whole episode building up a heist. Here, like last week's episode, and I imagine next week's episode, they've crammed so much plot in that I had plot coming out my ears. There was so much plot. I was like this. I was like one of those Play-Doh barber set characters. The plot was literally leaking out of my ears and my eyes and my nose. Plot everywhere. It's like, oh, I can't keep all this plot in. Opens with Saul in his office. He's tense. He's banging a ball against the wall. Knocks down one of the pillars. Funny thing is, they didn't put the pillar back right in a later scene because the polystyrene pillar put a dent in it when it fell onto the desk, and when they put it back, they moved it into the other position, and there's one pillar with a dent where that's what 4K does. You just notice every blemish and knock. Sorry, but I didn't put it in the right place again. They put the pillar in the wrong position. That's it. That's the end of the video. But he's waiting. We know he's tense. He's stalling because it's latterly revealed that Kim is back. Oh boy, is she back in this episode? And we cover a lot of ground. There's an awful lot of ground. In the flashback scene, it's divorce papers. Signing of the divorce papers. Oh yeah, there's spoilers, by the way. I've forgotten. But then no one's watching. It's only me and Luke. Me and Luke at all. We should have done this as a Zoom thing, and we could have argued about the plot points, and then no one would have watched that. Just imagine how cool that would have been. But alas, we've only got one episode left, so it doesn't matter. Rather than doing, you know, big screeds of replies, which again I thought your replies were great, and I deleted that video because it was just for you. You know, it was just for you. So once you've watched it, there was little point in anyone else to watch it, because it was for you. I just couldn't type it all out. I couldn't type the reply out. I'm sorry. I thought it'd be better if I just tried to get it out of my brain. But yeah, so there's a lot of plot in this, and we do take a ride with Kim's life. Kim is with someone else now. Though, are they together because he leaves? Maybe he just works the nights. But he looks like Glenn Campbell. I thought that was funny. They got with someone who looked like Glenn Campbell, and she's living a life of domestic monotony. A bit like my own life. It hit hard. But yeah, she's a different person now. She's ditched the pony. She's drab and colourless. Again, that's why they use black and white there for both of them, because the colour has been drained from their lives. Because when they were back in Albuquerque watching Howard's brains getting blown out, they lived a colourful life, didn't they? A colourful, interesting life. It's so on the nose, it's just not even funny now. It's a life of domestic drudgery. That's what it's portrayed as. And she's with this fellow. He seems a bit dim, nice but dim. They meet up with the neighbours and friends, and they swap out Miracle Whip for mayonnaise. Like, God knows what that must taste like. I mean, Kim's playing the part of someone so dim. You know, it's just you sit and go, oh come on. Anyone would go, you can't use Miracle Whip. You've got to use mayonnaise in potato salad. You know, come on. Sorry, there are just some bits of it that you just go, come on, really? Really? You're that in the part of New Kim, who is just so dull? Really? Really? You don't have to hide. You don't have to hide. You divorced him. You left. You don't have to do that life. You could do another life. So it didn't make, for me, it doesn't make sense, because she divorces him. She's out. She doesn't accept any of the sandpiper payment. She's not, she's there is a crime, which we'll get onto, but she's not part of any of the crimes that he, Jimmy, Saul, Gene, is involved with. She's not involved with him at the time of Waterworks, etc., and Gus Fring and whatnot. She's already out the door. So she hasn't got any guilt there. So she doesn't need to hide. She doesn't need to do this. She could be... I thought she'd have been working for a charity, or, I don't know, working with animals or something, or helping the homeless. But she's working at a pump place for swimming pools and irrigation. In Florida. So yeah, we get to see inside her life, and then we see the phone call from her side. And she's just like, yeah. She's shocked. But it's a jumping off point for what she then does, because it prickles her conscience enough, because it's all about her conscience, because she has a conscience, see? She has a conscience. And we watch her travel back to Albuquerque, go into the courthouse, see someone that's a bit like her, getting a client prepped. Oh, the imagery. It's a bit by numbers now. It's a bit by numbers. It's a bit, it's like they're just punching me on the nose. And you go, yeah, all right. And because she's signing an affidavit, she's swearing, and you know where it's going. You go, okay. Now I thought initially she was like going there to just tell him all the information about what she knew about Jimmy Saul. Well, she did. But I wasn't sure if she knew about the Gus Fring Walter White thing. But then it's just up to the point of what she knows. And then we see a very strange confrontation between her and Howard's widow, which again, I'm sorry, is utterly bonkers. Utterly bonkers, because she goes there and confesses, oh yeah, we did this to him, we did that, and Howard got shot in the head, and and I doubt if they'll prosecute, because again, she's waited 6 or 7 years, for the statute. Isn't there a statute of limitations? Again, it probably varies from state to state, but I'm sitting there thinking, this is pretty cynical, but she's only doing it to ease, to salve her own conscience, to put distance between her and Jimmy, Gene, Saul. And you just think, God, you're a monster. And he didn't suffer. It's like, he did suffer. You made him suffer. You were probably responsible for the breakdown of his marriage. And I'm surprised again. Howard's widow is very composed, because I'd have thrown a chair at her. Any other woman, any other wife would have gone. They would have been brawling on the floor. Brawling on the floor. She destroyed, like his widow says, you destroyed everything. That's how they remember him, But it's done like that, so she can say the dialogue, not "I'm going to fucking kill you, you bitch," because that's what the naked human emotion would be. Some of these she's just an automaton. She's there to deliver a line of dialogue. It's completely unnatural. I'm sorry, it's completely unnatural. I just don't. I just don't buy it, and I don't buy a lot of this stuff that's happening now. Again, I know it's rooted in the fantastical, it's rooted. But you saw the passion that she had at his memorial service. That she was like, I know you did it. She didn't go, oh, I figured it. I knew. She's all very calm and composed. There will be people who like it because they are part of the cult of Vince Gilligan and Thomas Schnauz and everyone. That's great. I personally, some of this I don't buy now. I do not buy. I am not buying it. It is just it's a Walter Mitty fantastical. Yeah, it always had that element to it, obviously, but the good thing about Breaking Bad is, some of the people, changed, they evolved. You figured them out. They reacted in a way that seemed normal. Totally unnatural. She was there just to further along the plot. The same way Jeffy is. So, we go back to Omaha. And he's inside the house. He's broken in. He's got greedy. He's stolen a Rolex, I think it is. Again, I think it's a Rolex. It's expensive watches. Could be an aviator, who knows. And the guy's asleep. But then he wakes up and has a pee and then falls asleep on the stairs. And there's this little comedy moment. Oh, do I break the urn? Oh, and you go... Because we're illustrating his greed, you see. It's... he's being greedy. And then... the most bizarre thing happens. Jeffy's in his taxi waiting and a police car pulls up. And we have these two comedy cops who's arguing about a fish taco because they're like an old married couple. And they're just sitting there, mind their own business. They're not really paying much attention to Jeffy just parked up. Could be waiting for a fare, He could be just waiting for the radio. He could be just taking a break. Again, we get it around here. Cabbies do it all the time. They pull up, they have a little snooze, They have a coffee, they read the newspaper, they do the crossword. I see it. But Jeffy gets nervous. Or does he? I don't know. Is he nervous? I don't know. Maybe he isn't. And then decides to crash his car in order to provide an alibi for Gene, who's somebody who he doesn't really know that well, but somehow seems to have some sort of magic hold on him. Oh, that's because he's the magic man. And you've got to remember that Jeff has been involved in crime and whatnot back in the day, but I didn't buy that. I didn't buy that. It would have been funnier if he'd have just, reversed into the, accidentally reversed into the police car. And distracted them enough, but we got to do this because we got to get Gene out the house. But then the guy, he comes out and so Jeff's in trouble. Jeff's in trouble. It's the end game. Jeff's in trouble because news gets back to Marion. Marion uses her laptop. Big confrontation. Gene hears his own advert playing. And the good thing is he opens it and he sees the colourful advert reflected on his black and white glasses. They must have spent a fortune CGIing that in. And he pulls the phone cord out of the wall because she's going to call the police, obviously, and marches towards her like Tony Curtis in The Boston Strangler. That was genuinely chilling. That was probably the most believable part of the show because you see what he's capable of. He is... these people, and again, even Kim and her conscience salving, and turning on the Waterworks on the bus, She's not crying for Howard, she's crying for herself. These are selfish, horrible people. And Marion pushes a buzzer alarm that she wears because she's, you have those. And he flees, and that's where we're at. Again, the most realistic character in this is Marion, and that's why they got Carol Burnett to play it. And she's doing a great job because, she goes, there was no Nippy. And again, with a search of Conman Albuquerque, Saul Goodman is the first name to pop up. They obviously uploaded his adverts onto YouTube. I wonder if Marion watched my reviews of Breaking Bad on YouTube. That'd be pretty cool if she did. Wouldn't it? That would be meta. I'm joking. It would be good if I end up I think I might be in the last episode. She's going to be watching my review of the show. Would you reckon? It goes meta, breaks the fourth wall. That would be cool. But yeah, it's a strange episode. I mean, obviously some of this is... I forgot. You have a cameo. You have Steve Buscemi guesting as Jesse Pinkman doing Hello Fellow Kids, didn't you? he's out on the porch after Kim gets the divorce papers signed. Oops. She heads out onto the porch and it's raining, it's pissing down. Again, it's a symbol of the storm cloud. Again, it's a symbol of the storm clouds heading in for Saul Goodman. For this is the moment. She is a catalyst. Who'd have thought that she would be a catalyst in the whole Breaking Bad saga? I'm like, oh God, make it stop. I'm being beaten over the head with plot here. They're stitching it. They're stitching Better Call Saul and the characters they're in desperately to Breaking Bad, to create this weird TV homunculus constructed like Frankenstein out of bits of character and plotline, and it's pulling apart. It's trying not to split. And they have a cigarette, and he asks her, "Oh, is he all right?" She goes, "Well, when I used to know him, he was." And so that gives Jesse the impetus to use Saul Goodman. Again, he knew her from the courthouse. Like I always said that they know he'd have seen her around, because Jesse would have been at the courthouse. He'd have seen both of them before, and he would have seen all those people, Hank and and all the cops and so that I find believable. But the cigarette shed on the porch, come on, it's a bit on the nose. And couldn't they have just shot it in shadow? He could have just been like standing back and talking to her, and they could have done it more like a silhouette, void. That would have been moody, wouldn't it? But you have to get him lumbering into view. He's 30. How old is he now? 38. He's 38, 39-year-old frame lumbering into view. Can I have a cigarette, bitch? No, it wouldn't have worked. The saddest part is when she goes back to the courthouse and Mike's booth is empty, which of course is unrealistic because they'd have employed somebody else to do the job. But God damn it! Feel emotions, Mr. Locke. God damn it! And you go, I get it. I'm surprised she didn't stop off at La Polos Hermanos for a burger. That's all they needed. She could have been a bit peckish. She could have got some chicken. But yeah, it's the great unravelling. It's the great unravelling. Will Gene ever go to justice? These are the questions we're asked. I don't think there's going to be a happy ending. Will he just reinvent himself as another character? I do not know. Will he, I don't know, run off with Jesse and they have kids together? I do not know. I don't care. You've turned a great show into, just like I say, because of the plot, the plotting of it and the pacing of it. Everything's been crammed into the last couple of episodes. It's like, again, you've had 6 seasons to do this. 6 seasons. This should have all started. Season 6 should have started with this storyline. Again, the pacing of it's off, and it should have been drawn out a bit. And they could have turned it into more of a chase, with them trying to catch Gene over state lines and things like that. Made more like every episode is like remember the Incredible Hulk when old Bill Bixby was on the run every episode? We could have done it like that. And they had sad music at the end as he heads up the highway thumbing a lift. But we didn't. We did this instead. And it's all right. But frankly, I think some of it's just a little bit too on the nose and too much fan service. And, I think it would have been, again, if you're going to bring in Jesse Pinkman then, it would have been it would have been better if he would have been digitally put into the background at the courthouse or something. You just see him walking past her, something like that, where he's waiting for a friend outside, a friend she's representing, and he goes yo, and they walk off together. I think they could have done that, a few episodes, seasons ago, and I think that would have held together a bit better. But it's like, yeah, of course, you've got a friend, and you know, and you saw her, and you're all right, you know. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it, even though some of it's just a bit ridiculous, you know, a bit ridiculous. Willful suspension of disbelief. Just got to keep on believing. But I liked the sex scene. I thought, because it was a bit like my own sex life, you know. That's what married life is like. I wonder if she's remarried, or if again it was like they were just hanging together. But it could be that he's working the night shift. You know, I like the idea that she's actually having an affair with him, and he's gone back to his actual family. That would have been funny, wouldn't it? That she's again still pulling a con, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's the natural conclusion, I guess. It's the path that they've led us down. I have issues with the whole Jeffy plot. Again, there are many ways they could have played that. If Jeffy had actually been represented by Saul Goodman, you know when he says, "I know you," you know, then they're kind of bound together. And if he did have a bigger criminal history, you know, Gene could have dangled it over his head, and maybe he's on the run or something. You know, there are many ways they can force these characters to interact, and I find some of the interactions just a little bit, clunky, especially when we've seen, in the past, everything's been very tightly knitted and very cleverly constructed, and now, I just think it's a bit convenient, but, yeah. But imagine if they'd have got rid of half the season 5, and moved some of the episodes from season 6 into that, and ended with Howard's death, right? And then use season 6 purely as Gene on the run. We have the Marion subplot, so that takes up, 3 or 4 episodes, and then the second half of season 6, he's on the run, and he's being pursued, and we turn it into like a pursuit thing. And he's like a rat gnawing off his own legs, just trying to escape. Cornered and cornered and cornered until, he's on the Hoover Dam or something. He's going to throw himself into the... I don't know. But anyway, that's how I would have done it. And you would have loved it, and it would have been exciting. But yeah, that was the penultimate episode of Better Call Saul, and I feel it's fairly hopeless now. Hopeless. Again, with Breaking Bad, we always had the hope that Jesse would escape and make good, and even Walter White might do something amazing. Maybe hand himself up, in even, and and show that there was some good left in him. I mean, what he did was good in a way, but whether that was the best end, I do not know. But there was that sense of hope. I don't see there being a sense of hope in this unless he does his time, he comes out, he becomes James McGill again, and he has his own office, and he puts a picture of Chuck behind him, and does law properly like Chuck would have done. That is I think that's the only good resolution, isn't it? He reverts back to Jimmy, who had a heart. Because remember, Jimmy had a heart, didn't he? Before he got messed up with the mob and everything, looking after the Sandpiper clients. And mind you, he was motivated by money because he knew he was onto a big thing. But he had a heart then. If we can get back to that form of James McGill, but that's going to take years. It's going to take years. We just do a flash forward, and he's sitting in his office. Maybe Francesca's with him again. They're a bit older, wiser. I don't know. That's the only way. Or they send him to the electric chair. I'm joking. That ain't going to happen. But yeah, this is looking bleaker and bleaker by the thing. Anyway, I've gone on far too much because there was an awful lot of plot in today's episode. An awful lot. No one's going to watch this, so it's just for Luke, when he's feeding the baby. Don't forget to burp baby. Very important. And thank you for watching. This is the last one next week for me too. I won't be doing any more of these, you know, unless we get a spin-off about Yule. I'm up for that. Who knows? Who knows? There are many spin-offs they could do. I can't believe they are, you know. There's been a merest hint of a consideration that there should be another spin-off. But yes, if anyone's watching, what did you think? Was it a bit too on the nose, or was everything just perfect and perfectly plotted? Look, I'm a cynic. You know, I'm an old cynic, and I know how people are, and sometimes these things can be just a little bit ridiculous for me. But remember, folks, if you don't like this, you better call Saul, because maybe he can take a class action out against me and sort me out. Okay, thank you for watching. There's only one more thing to say by now. We should all know what that is, and that is ta-da!